For the past month, I keep hearing the same complaint echoing from boardrooms, barbershops, and restaurants alike. A lack of customer care. Stories of employees handling clients with coldness and indifference as if their role was to process transactions and not serve human beings. And like most issues in society, we keep trying to address the symptoms while ignoring the core. We train people to paste on smiles, to say please and thank you, but that's not care. That's camouflage. Because here's the truth they won't tell you in a training manual. You can't teach soul. You can't download presence. And you sure as heaven can't manufacture care. They call it customer service. They say, greet with a smile, say please, say thank you, ask, how may I help you? But parrots can do that as well. Robots too. Androids programmed with the right script will do it even better than most humans ever would. But here's what they can't do. They can't feel. And feeling is the forgotten fragrance of true service. We walk into places and the air is sterile, not because it's clean, but because it's empty. Empty of energy, empty of empathy, and empty of spirit. You ever had someone serve you and you felt like a ghost? Like your presence was a task, your needs an interruption. That's not service. That's theater. That's a haunted house of hollow hospitality. You see, what we call customer service is often nothing but polite performance. Words without weight. Gestures without grace. It's not the words. It's who they come from. Jesus didn't perform miracles with speeches. He just spoke from a place beyond the ego. When the mob raised stones against the woman caught in sin, he said 7 words. He without sin cast the first stone. It wasn't what he said, it was who said it. If anyone else had said that, they might have been stoned as well. But his words carried the weight of inner alignment, of authority earned in the invisible realms, of consciousness incarnate. We have been taught that words carry power, but the power of words is determined by the vessel from which they emanate. A statement without soul is just sound. We are beings of vibration. We are sensitive antennas of energy. We feel before we understand, and we understand what is felt, not what is said. You can't fake that. Galatians 5:22 says, the fruit of the Spirit. It didn't say the lesson of the Spirit, it said the fruit. Fruit is the evidence of what's rooted within. Love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, gentleness, self-control. These are not learned behaviors. They are cultivated states. They don't come from compliance. They come from consciousness. And consciousness is not something you hand out in a workshop. You don't teach empathy from a slide deck. You don't spark kindness through a paycheck. The deeper problem isn't bad service. It's a collective disconnection from soul. We've created a culture where people clock in but leave their essence at the door, where professionalism means suppressing your humanity, where the spirit of service has been sacrificed on the altar of speed and sales. we've forgotten the sacredness of serving another human being. We've replaced the archetype of the sacred servant with the script of the corporate drone. But you can't automate presence. You can't replicate love, and you can't teach soul. So what do? We can't just train for better words. Our goal must be to cultivate better humans. Here are 5 strategies where we can start to awaken soul in service. 1. Send your staff to serve the underprivileged. True empathy doesn't come from a PowerPoint slide. It comes from proximity. When staff spend time in homeless shelters, children's homes, or soup kitchens, they are reminded of the fragility and value of human life. It strips away the illusion of hierarchy, the "I serve because I'm paid" mentality, and replaces it with "I serve because I too am human." It is in kneeling beside pain that we rediscover our own humanity. 2. Hold space for emotional truth. We have workplaces filled with people who are emotionally constipated, silent, suppressed, suffocating under metrics. But when leaders create spaces for staff to share their stories, their frustrations, and even their triumphs, not to be judged, but to be heard, energy begins to move. Circles of honesty cultivate bonds. They remind employees that they're not machines, that they're human beings connected by a shared struggle and hope. Reflection over performance. Humanity over the hustle. 3. Teach self-awareness, not sales tactics. You could give someone the best closing script in the world, but if they're disconnected from themselves, they'll never truly connect with anyone else. Self-awareness is the foundation of authentic service. Teach your team to pause, to breathe, to know their triggers, to understand their energy. When they meet themselves, their fears, their strengths, their blind spots, they will show up differently for your customers. Because a person who knows themselves cannot help but see others more clearly. 4. Reward character, not just compliance. Too many organizations celebrate numbers, sales made, tasks completed, hours logged. But what about the employee who sat patiently with an elderly customer? What about the one that went out of their way to comfort someone in distress? These are moments of soul shining through. When you recognize and reward compassion, patience, and kindness with the same weight as you do for profit, you're telling your people, this is who we are. This is what we value. And culture begins to shift in that direction. 5. Make your leaders the embodiment of what you preach. You can't demand kindness from the bottom if cruelty rules at the top. Energy trickles down. If leaders lead with fear, staff will serve with fear. If leaders embody patience and humility in presence, that spirit spreads through the ranks. Leadership is not a title, it's a transmission. And if the head is disconnected, the body will always flail. So teach your leaders to become examples, not commanders, mirrors, not managers. This is the shift we need. Not better scripts, but better souls. You can teach technique, but you cannot teach tenderness. You can instruct posture, but you cannot download presence. You can hand someone a title, but only life can hand them depth. So stop trying to train spirit and start nurturing it. Because in the end, you can't teach soul, but you can awaken it. And that changes everything. And this is where Gurman Consultancy and my staff come in. This is why I speak, why I teach, why I lead. Because organizations today don't need another customer service workshop. They need a soul reset. They need leaders who understand that service isn't just about transactions. It's about transformation. When you bring my team and myself, we don't hand out scripts. We don't train people to act nice. We create spaces where your team can reconnect with their humanity, where they don't just learn words but embody energy. We help cultivate staff who radiate presence, who carry kindness not as a tactic but as a nature, who understand that serving another person is not a task but a sacred act. So if you're ready to go beyond customer service as performance and step into service as soul in action, then let's talk. Because this is not about better customer service. This is about better people, better culture, better energy. And that will change not just your business, it will change lives.